Greetings, my name is Ben Wilhelm, and I am here to talk about the change in leadership at Starbucks this week using the real-time strategic change model created by Robert Jacobs. The real-time strategic change model is pretty compelling because it really focuses on rapid change and how to create some of the context for change to happen and have good stability and long-term rewards over time. So really what it does is starts off with the notion of how do you scope the possibilities of what can be done and accomplished using sort of a appreciative inquiry approach. Develop and align your leadership so that you have good connection points to all of the things that you want to accomplish as a team. And then how do you create organizational alignment around that change that you're trying to promote? So let's add this to the context of Starbucks. This week, its third CEO in 3 years was ousted in favor of a new industry leader to come in. And some of the compelling reasons that call for change and what manifested the change was a 22% drop in Starbucks share price since March of 2023. They had activist investors who were circling the wagons around trying to figure out how to have a bigger play in creating some disruption at Starbucks, which maybe would have influenced the board in negative ways. They were underperforming in China relative to plan, and they had poor same-store sales year over year. And some of the stores, frankly, were just looking tired and dated, so they needed a brand refresh. So to speak a little bit more to this notion of real-time strategic change, let me outline the 6 principles of the model. First off, reality as a driver, empower and engage, create a preferred future state for where you want to go, build understanding for the change, create a community around the change that you are trying to promote, and finally, do it in real time and do it real fast. A little bit more context relative to the model. Reality as a key driver really looks at your internal and external realities. Making informed decisions is really the outcome. Empowering and engage. How do you have participation and direction, and knowing that your ultimate goal is to create clarity and commitment? Creating a preferred future. What is the best of the past, and what can you do to create a compelling future? How do you build excitement and energy for the change that you want to promote? Building understanding through inquiry and advocacy so that you have aligned action, making sure that you start to build that whole alignment with your leadership team. Creating a community, allegiance to your part, and making sure that you promote effective collaboration so you can continue to build momentum. And last but not least, real time. How do you think and act as if the future is now? So claim your future faster is really the insight here related to the 6th principle of strategic change. So let's dig into this a little bit. Let's start at the beginning and think about what is reality for Starbucks as a driver, and how did they get the informed decisions to make a choice to go recruit a new CEO. Their same-store sales were lagging, as noted before. China was underperforming relative to its growth strategy. China has a huge potential market share that Starbucks was missing out on. Again, their stock price was way off the S&P, which was up 36% in the same period that Starbucks was down 22%. All of these factors created a lot of board anxiety that really was the call for change. Finding clarity and commitment. The board chair socialized the plan to potentially replace the CEO. One of the things Starbucks is known for, when things aren't going well, they are not hesitant to make a change. So they created a broad coalition of support within the board. They had active recruiting of an industry CEO without the support of an external recruiter. So they were a little bit clandestine in their search. And ultimately, this Tuesday of this week, they onboarded Brian Niccol, formerly of Chipotle, as he was credited largely for a big turnaround within Chipotle after they had a lot of negative press years ago. And he has returned it to a great growth spurt and sustainable returns. So defining that preferred future, how did they create excitement and energy? In some ways, this was a defensive move to deflect activist investors. Elliott Investment Management was gobbling up stock shares of Starbucks and also using a little bit of their leverage to influence change, and that was uncomfortable for the board for sure. They onboarded an industry luminary, which really created a great media splash, and it also was widely regarded as a good move, signified by the jump in stock price the next day. the goal was really to outline this whole notion of how they are going to re-energize the Starbucks brand and its growth prospects. And certainly one of the things that everybody would want to see is a recovery in the stock price and for it to be one of the gems of its industry. So building the understanding and having aligned action. They garnered support of the founder, Howard Schultz. And Howard never is too far away from the boardroom when it comes to making decisions. They also signaled the change in leadership with media, which created quite a buzz. And whatever WAF is as a mistake, so let's just overlook that for the moment. Effective collaboration and creating community. They invited an open forum for discussion with all the Starbucks employees. Certainly their goal now from a collaboration standpoint is to have everyone march in lockstep with 350,000 employees of Starbucks throughout the world. And one of the things that we'll all be curious about is to see if some of these changes actually do take shape, as they were the compelling reason for why they were going to change the CEO so quickly. So claiming their future faster in real time, they explored contingency planning for a few months before they made this change, but the final transition to replace and announce the new CEO with Brian Niccol was pretty rapid. And that is certainly one of the staples of real-time strategic change, is how fast can you move to make an impact. And again, Starbucks has never been hesitant to make quick moves when things aren't going the way they hope. So summarizing again, the real-time strategic change model using scoping possibilities, developing and aligning leadership, and creating an organization alignment. This was certainly a decisive and fast change. It hit the market quickly. The bounce back was immediate. The stock price ballooned within a day. They've outlined an ambitious future state to get people excited about so that they align their actions and create some collaboration and some energy around it. And certainly they have to evaluate risk versus reward. While they did recruit a luminary of the industry, this is certainly an outsider coming into Starbucks. This was certainly a fast change. They didn't decide to take it slow and let the sitting CEO work through the challenges. They were very impatient for the change. And so this one didn't come without its potential downside. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. And I really appreciate everyone listening and hope you enjoy this segment.